Welcome to the Force Dyad Podcast, a Star Wars-centric podcast which aims to connect us fans to our fandom. Each episode, we discuss recent shows, movies, and what's new in books, comics, and gaming. We share our favorite theories and touch on our collectible hobbies, all in an effort to connect the galaxy far, far away to our own. And welcome to episode 2 of the Force Dyad Podcast. I'm here, Jedi John, joined with...
Obi-Sean, hello there.
Yeah, it's going to be a great second installment of our little podcast here. Super exciting stuff. We had Bad Batch episode 1 drop on May the 4th, so we're going to recap that and share our overarching theories of the whole series, because we got 14 episodes of goodness total. So
16.
I thought IMDb says 14.
There was a report that came out late last week where they confirmed an extra 2 episodes, and I went and I double checked it because I saw it on Instagram, and it's like 16. First it said 16 episodes in season 2's 2022, and I was like, hold on, wait a sec. So I went and confirmed both, and 16 episodes in season 1 was confirmed. Season 2, not so much. But yeah, it's going to be 16 episodes.
Sounds good to me. So, I mean, who doesn't want more?
I mean, after that first episode, I want give me a full Clone Wars season of 20 or 22 episodes. That'd be fine with me.
That would be great too. But yeah, so there you have it. 16 episodes of greatness that we want to just kind of spew our thoughts on where the series is going to take us this first season. We're thinking we're going to get at least, I don't know, hopefully 2 or 3 more seasons of it afterwards. But I'd love to talk about our theories on this season and see where some of our main characters that we've already met in episode 1 end up by the end of it. So I guess let's just jump right into some socials that we want to plug real quick.
Yeah, we'll plug the socials. So we try to keep this as simple as possible for everyone to find us. So on Twitter, you can find us at Force Dyad Pod. And on the main landing page, you can find both mine and Jedi John's personal Twitter handles. And then you can find us on Instagram and Facebook also by searching the Force Dyad Podcast. And yeah, we're getting the Facebook page up and running. No posts yet on Instagram, but we'll start to fill those out here over the next couple weeks. So.
We've got some time.
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
Got some time. Super excited stuff though as those socials get up and running. Give us a follow if you can. That'd be great. But for now, I guess let's jump right into our episode 1 of the Bad Batch.
Yeah, I can't wait. We've been wanting to do this now for, basically since it dropped. We were going to do it on Wednesday when I was under the weather.
We've had a lot of stuff.
Life happened.
Yeah, life happened really quick for everybody.
So let's jump in. Let's do an episode recap.
Yeah. So we open up with your classic Clone Wars narration by Tom Kane. Classic voice for it, and yeah, he gets us all caught up to speed on what happened at the end of the Clone Wars, leading into the Bad Batch series, and then we catch up with our heroes on. Well, we don't even catch up with our heroes right away. We catch up with some new faces that we have not seen necessarily before on Keller, where we pick up with Deepa Balaba and Caleb Doom, who, for all of you Rebels fans out there, that is Caleb turned into Kanan Jarrus as he moves throughout his life. So super cool Easter egg there. You get to see what happens to them without jumping ahead too far.
Yeah, I mean they're pinned down, and I first, just to rewind, the opening scene or the opening credit thing. It starts out with the Clone Wars red, and then it bleeds into the Bad Batch, so you can tell, we're picking up right where we left off, of season 7 of the Clone Wars, which is really cool. But yeah, you hear that first voiceover of Freddie Prinze Jr. You're like, hey, that voice sounds really familiar.
Yeah, not only that, but that guy sounds way older than he looks right now.
He does. He sounds very mature for his age.
Yeah, he's got a very deep voice for a Padawan. But yeah, but really cool to see exactly when he's bringing in the Bad Batch. And again, you get that typical Master Jedi, there's no way they're that good. And then he just says, you have to see these guys. Like, they're not like normal clones. and the Bad Batch roll in and just say, "Yeah, you don't need anybody else."
We're all you need.
Yeah, we love Wrecker. But yeah, so you get to see the Bad Batch just go to work real fast on the droid squadron that's pinning them down. So, I mean, Wrecker physically pulls 3 tanks and pulls them off a ledge.
With the help of Crosshair.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, really crazy stuff there. I mean, he just shows you the strength and the precision of a couple of the members of Clone Force 99. And then we get to see them regroup, and Master of Balaba is already asking, so where's the rest of the reinforcements? And they just said, well, due to other important things.
Yeah, they sent them to Coruscant.
Yeah, they sent them
to protect the capital. Apparently, the capital is more important than an Outer Rim territory. Go figure.
Yeah. Go figure. But yeah, so and then they really quickly get reassigned to say, hey, we're going to push forward and we're going to move ahead. And Caleb ends up going with Clone Force 99, and then we hear the classic Order 66 coming in, and so we get to kind of see how other clones in the field react to that, even though we're well aware of how they react to that order. It's pretty immediate, and it's kind of shocking. And then Clone Force 99 is still just running. They have no idea what's going on until Caleb stops and realizes that his master is getting,
she's surrounded,
Yeah.
you know, and she's doing the best to fend them off. And, you know, she tells him to run, you know, and I've seen over the last few days some picture montages from Rebels of the Grand Inquisitor when he's interrogating Kanan, and he's like, "Do you remember her last words to you?" And it's all mashed up with the scenes from the first episode of the Bad Batch, and it's it's really good. You know, the way everything is interconnected. You said it to me, you know, as with everything Filoni, everything has a connection to itself.
Yep.
So
he tries to connect all those loopholes and fill in those subplots pretty quickly when he can. That's one of the things that he does incredibly well, and I love how he connects everything. Not necessarily that we needed it to be Caleb Doom on Kalar with his master, but because it was, we saw it. So really cool scene. And then you see Caleb run away from the Bad Batch because he thinks that, well, they're clones also, and I just watched clones kill my master, so you guys aren't good.
naturally, they're going to do the same thing to me.
Right, and Hunter's just confused. And he tries to let Caleb know that. And then he could, what is it? Hunter and Crosshair.
It's Hunter and Crosshair who go after him into the woods.
Because he sends Tech and Echo back to the squadron to figure out what the heck's going on. Oh, Wrecker just stays, right? Wrecker just stays to like.
Oh yeah, Wrecker is there to like distract.
Yes.
Any oncoming trooper.
He's a good distraction.
He is. I mean, his mental capacity isn't great, but he gets the job done, right? So
right. But yeah, so then you see in the mountain that Crosshair starts to take aim at Caleb.
Well, you see him flick something on his blaster on his rifle as they're tracking him, and my first thought was, oh, he's setting it to some sort of stun bullet or whatever, and that we later learned that is not the case.
Yeah,
and his inhibitor chip may be slightly faulty, but it's still functional.
Yeah, looks like it's a little functional because he got you heard him say it multiple times. Good soldiers follow orders, and you're like,
where have I heard that before?
Interesting. So, yeah, it was just cool to see how clones that didn't have working chips are reacting to the same situation as a normal person, and then the inhibitor chips and other clones are really affecting them. So,
exactly.
and really how powerful they are.
Well, it was the good soldiers follow orders is the same line that it was. It wasn't Kix. I'm trying to remember the clone's name from season 6, who was the one who went postal and killed his 2 Jedi. He was the one where they're like, oh, he got real sick, and that he was the first one to be found, and we're gonna have to figure out who that is. But he said the exact same thing. When it the inhibitor chip triggered on him, he was saying, "Good soldiers follow orders. Good soldiers follow orders." And you couldn't figure out what's he, what why is he saying this? And so it's really an interesting callback to that. I think it's season 6, episode 1 or 2. But in any case, that's a recall.
Oh, Tup.
Yeah, Tup. That was it. So Tup's the one who kept saying "good soldiers follow orders," and he's strapped down to the table, and they're like, "What is wrong with him?"
Yeah, he was like in a trance.
Yeah, and the Kaminoans are like, "Oh, he's really sick," to try and keep the inhibitor chip thing
Hush, hush.
Yeah. So that's where we've heard that phrase actually before. So as soon as he started saying that, I was like, oh, this is not good for young Caleb. Of course, we know he's going to be okay.
If you realized who it was.
That's true. That is true.
You technically didn't know his last name until the credits. So
that is a good point.
So we didn't know it was Caleb Doom until the credits, but we just knew it was Caleb. And if you put it together early, good for you, but I didn't until I saw the credits, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's cool. And I also figured out it was Freddie Prinze Jr. because I'm like, it sounded way too familiar to not know who it was.
Right.
So, yeah, really a lot of good like little tidbits of information we got just right in that first scene. Mm-hmm. And then we know Caleb gets away. Hunter tells Crosshair that he fell down the valley. And even Crosshair immediately, because he is very observant also, just said, normally you're looking down to make sure that somebody's dead.
And not across.
Yep. And yeah, so it was kind of, immediately you hear that, I don't know if I trust Hunter right now.
You can already see that riff between the two of them growing.
Yep. And then they load back up on the ship, head back to Kamino. I think we heard the Kaminoan. I think that's it now.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go with it.
Kaminoan. I think we heard it during the episode, so the debate is over.
Oh, good.
I believe it happened.
Okay,
so
good.
Kaminoan, I believe, is it. And so we get to catch up. They get off their ship, and immediately they realize that there are troops that normally aren't there are on Kamino, and they're from the Coruscant Guard.
Yeah, the shock troopers.
There. The shock troopers are there, and they immediately catch up with one and say, "There's an all assembly at this time. Everyone's required to go." And then they see the passing of a body that drops a lightsaber off of it, and he just questions Hunter, "Is there a problem?" Nope,
no problem here.
No problem. Yep.
Nothing to see here, folks.
Right. And I think, did they decide that was Balaba's body? Is that what they decide?
That's what I've heard. I
didn't know if that was from someone on Kamino, that like they had killed somebody on Kamino that was a Jedi, or if it was.
I was trying to think of if there would have been any Jedi on Kamino, because I believe the last Jedi we see on there is Shaak Ti is there, and she's doing the questioning of the medical personnel around the inhibitor chip, and then I believe she's escorting people back to Coruscant. And so I don't believe there's a Jedi presence at this time on Kamino. So presumably it's from one of the other battles, whether that's Deepa, because they do the saber does drop, but I'm not familiar with all the Jedi's different sabers and their appearances, so I don't know that it's actually confirmed who it is.
Gotcha.
Or where they're from.
Yeah, and then you get to see them go to their barracks for the first time, which is just a mess. They are not a clean clone group, that's for sure. But they do have a tally on the wall of how many missions they did, and Wrecker just gets right in there and starts tallying up. And I think he said, was it 5 or 6 more missions? 11 more missions.
11 more missions.
Pretty crazy stuff. That's how long they were gone for before they actually get to go home just for a little bit, which is, well, it's a soldier's life, right? Mm-hmm. So good stuff there. And then we go straight to the assembly. And, well,
it's a speech we're all familiar with. It had that, well, if you've seen The Force Awakens with the First Order assembly, it's very similar, in structure. You've got the big talking head and yeah, basically it syncs up with episode 3, where Emperor Palpatine's in the Senate chamber and talks about the Jedi's attempt on his life had left him scarred,
Very scarred.
and his resolve has never been stronger.
I did love how I forget which clone actually said it, but he actually made fun of him. Like he's like, you're not kidding.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you can tell that the Bad Batch don't fit in because of how all the other clones are reacting to the news. They're all excited. They're hooting. They're hollering.
Yeah, and then Tech says, "Do you still think they're not programmed?"
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And at this time too, Hunter looks up at the observation deck, and it's our first glimpse of who we'll learn is Omega, and it's almost like there's kind of this sense that this dual sensing, because the next time he looks up, she's gone, but yeah, that scene ends with
Somebody else vanishes like that. I think probably a group of people occasionally, or is it just Batman? I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I feel like some Jedi have that
occasionally
way of
they
disappearing.
just poof and they're gone. But yeah, that scene ends. You know, we're all familiar with that speech. So this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause, as Senator Amidala says in episode 3. And yeah, it cuts to
The hallway.
It cuts to all the clones cheering, and then we go,
yeah.
and then we go to the hallway.
Yeah, pretty great. Just quick meet and greet for Omega.
Hunter senses, he goes, it's like we're being followed, and they stop, turn around, and there's this little kid just hanging out.
And you see Nala Se come up and make sure everything's okay, and then make sure that she tells Omega like you're not supposed to wander kind of thing.
She ushers her away. But you can already see kind of the precociousness and the curiosity that, you know, she knows who they are. And obviously they don't know who she is.
Yeah, no idea.
So that's interesting. First of all, like, why would you know? And perhaps they're well known amongst the group, but you can sense the desire to be near them, even when she first meets them.
Yeah, and then we move over to the lunch scene when you get to see the regs treating them like, the weirdos. They're sitting at their own table because they're the weirdos, and
they're the nerds of the clone gang.
Yeah, and it's weird that like we were talking about last episode, how Crosshair was like, "Well, you're a reg," and like talking down to him, but in fact, like back on Camino, it's the opposite. They get treated like they're the weird ones.
Exactly.
Which they are the defective ones. Well, what do we say?
They're genetically altered.
Right.
So typically that's for positive reasons, but to everyone else, they're seen as different.
Right.
And, you know, yeah. So, I mean, but different doesn't always mean bad. So, but...
So Omega decides to sit with them, and while they're getting made fun of, Omega takes it upon herself to, you know...
Did she throw a burrito?
I think it was a burrito.
It looked like a burrito.
It looked like a burrito that hit him right in the back of the head. And, yeah, she has no fear when it comes to that. And all of a sudden it turned into a whole tray getting thrown. And, well, then it is what it was. I mean, it's just a massive food fight in the mess hall, you know?
It's very reminiscent of, you know, those 80s movies like Animal House. Reminded me of the food fight scene in Animal House.
And because you got Crosshair just sitting there trying to eat still while everything's happening.
Exactly.
And then his tray gets messed up, and then he's like, okay, now.
And yeah, you've ruined my lunch, and now I'm going to play.
Yep. Really good stuff.
So while all this is going on, there's again, as with everywhere in Camino, it seems, an observation window, you know, to watch on the clones. And during all of this, Echo looks up, and I guess we didn't mention it earlier, but Tarkin's there now. Admiral Tarkin. He's not a Moff. He's not a Grand Moff or anything yet. He's still Admiral Tarkin. There, of course, on the Emperor's bidding to check up,
evaluate the clone army
on the clones.
And yeah, we missed that earlier because I guess he would have had his meeting with Nala Se and Lama Su about the clones and how he was there to observe them, because they talked about that in the barracks about how there was somebody there, but they didn't know who it was until Echo sees Tarkin up there, and he recognized him immediately.
Exactly, because Tarkin was the one who was supposed to help on the escape at the Citadel, which Echo was left behind at. So And Echo remembers, for all of the things that were taken from him, that memory still stands that Tarkin is not a fan of clones.
Yep, not a fan at all. So, but we did get to hear Tarkin talking to them about how um, they're trying to evaluate the clone army to see if it's something that they want to take to the future, and how he's not a proponent of it, so he doesn't see a reason to pay for all these people when you can recruit people
For
and
half the price, I think he said.
yeah. So, and obviously Nalase and Lama Su were both on the, um, on the pro side of clones because that's their money and that's their income, and they're talking about how proficient they are and everything else, and even them walking in and looking at the new clone babies really that were being processed, and he just said extraordinary, aren't they? And Tarkin's like,
Maybe.
what was it? Maybe time
Maybe,
will tell,
or we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
Well, and then I can't remember if they talked about. I can't remember if it's now or later where they discuss how many genetically altered clones there are or they have left.
I think that's when, because he asked, tell me about Clone Force 99.
Right.
And that was after that. So maybe we're on the same page still.
Yeah. So, and it's at that point that I think it was Nalase who said that there were 5 remaining, meaning that there presumably may have been more. Well, we know that I guess there was at least 99 himself, but that currently there are 5 remaining. And so,
and Tarkin, well, we'll spoil it there, but like Tarkin assumes that the 5 she's talking about
are the 5 that we know or that we've seen.
Right, because he doesn't know who Echo is or what happened to him.
Right.
So he's just assuming that that's them. That's them.
Right.
That may have been after the training exercise. I don't know. Now I'm confused on if it was after or before, but either way,
it doesn't matter.
Conversation happened, and
yeah, but if you do some quick thinking, you're like, wait, Echo isn't an altered clone, so that makes 4, and then we've seen Omega.
We only met one other person so far.
So there's our 5th. And jumping ahead slightly, Tech, later confirms that. Yeah, he's like, I did a quick scan on her, and you're thinking, why didn't you say that like 15 minutes ago?
Yeah,
it would
have helped us
It
out.
would have made a whole lot more sense then.
The Clone Force 99 comes out of their barracks and gets called into training, and because they thought they were on the way to get in trouble, and then they realize like, oh, we get to blow stuff up.
We're gonna be evaluated.
Yeah, great.
That doesn't sound so bad.
This is easy. So then they get into the training facility, and yep, that's exactly what happens. Super easy. They make it look way too easy.
Oh yeah, they slice through those training droids like they're not even there.
And then Tarkin is observing this and just says, "Let's use live rounds."
Yeah, and Lama says like, "Excuse me."
Yeah,
and
don't like that.
And he's like, "We don't do that." And Tarkin just like, "You will be compensated." And they're like, "All right, cool." So they do what they're told.
Yeah, and it gets really interesting for our Bad Batch down in the pit because, well, Wrecker's just out in the open, and he's like, "Oh, more droids! I'll smash them." And then, well,
he gets popped with a live round, and he's like, "That one hurt."
Yeah, that's different.
And they've got the training guns.
Yeah,
that don't do anything on these live ammo.
Droids,
training droids.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff.
So then they hop into action. They do what they do best. They improvise. And I have to say the final shot from Crosshair, after they've battled through and they're pinned down and Tech's kind of out in the open, just kind of playing dead, for lack of a better word. And well, no, he's underneath one of the droids because they're like, "Don't move," and he's like, "Don't worry, I can't."
Yeah,
and it's that like slight tinge of comedy during the mayhem, and they're pinned behind, and Crosshair's like, "Wrecker, throw me your knife," and he throws the knife, and while the knife's in the air, he pops it with the training blaster, and it smokes the training droid in the face, and it's just epic.
Yeah, that's a pretty crazy shot. I mean, anybody that's going to shoot something out of the air, first of all,
while it's flipping,
great shot, and then to get it to go into something else that you want it to go to, yeah,
tremendous,
just impressive.
It was excellent. That whole training scene was amazing. Even though you kind of assume everyone's going to be okay, how it happens, how it progresses. like the excitement level was there. You're like, what's going to happen? Are they going to be okay? Even though they are, and just that progression of the training exercise was an excellent scene.
Yep, absolutely. Well, after that, Tarkin decides, you know what? I'm going to test your loyalty. I need you guys to. Oh well, they were mad about the live rounds in the barracks.
Yeah, they weren't pleased.
Which,
So they're like trash talking, and then as they're doing that, the doors open and there's Tarkin. They're like,
Yep.
they straighten up real quick.
And then Tarkin just wants to test their loyalty and test. I don't think he says loyalty right away.
He doesn't. It is a test of loyalty.
Yeah, he just says it's. I have a mission for you guys for some insurgents.
Exactly.
And then they get to Onderon, and this is after, I guess, skipping over Omega stopping Hunter while they're leaving, saying it's different. Like, you don't come back. Like, I don't want to be here either. Like,
yeah, she's like, Kamino's not safe anymore. And she wants to tell him one other thing, and she's like, Hunter, and he turns around, and then she's like, never mind. That's my best Kiwi accent. By the way, I just want to say I love both Australian and New Zealand. Those accents are
excellent.
They're my favorites.
Yeah.
I have to say, as far as an international accent goes, it's one of my favorites. But yeah, she wants to tell him something, and she doesn't, and she walks away. So what that is,
we'll never know. Well, we might find out later on, but not this episode.
Correct.
Yeah, so they get to Onderon, and they start scanning for the insurgents, who they believe are droids. And so they're all very excited to smash more droids. Who doesn't want to do that? And then they very quickly realize that there are no droids.
Yeah, so, the droids are humans.
They're humans, yeah.
And they just so happen to be former Republic fighters, or rebels, if you want to call them that, who Obi-Wan and Anakin and Ahsoka had trained back during the Battle of Onderon, specifically Saw Gerrera, to be able to fight for themselves without protection from from the Jedi and the Greater Republic, because they were so far, removed from the central hub of the galaxy. And so these are former Republic fighters who are now deemed insurgents by the New Empire. And it's funny how that changes like that.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, hey, we're really cool friends right now, and then 2 days later, yeah, you're a terrorist.
Yep.
So, anyways, yeah, they're being tracked, and Hunter and Crosshair kind of get into this argument while they're overlooking this camp, because there's women and children, and I mean, they're not droids, and Hunter, who is reasoning, because again, Crosshair's chip is loyal to the mission.
It's half working. Yeah.
And they're during their bicker session, they get Saw's scouts end up coming upon them.
Yeah, I mean, even during that though, Crosshair was just like, he never said they were droids.
That's true.
So Tarkin never lied to them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And from a certain point of view.
Yes, from a certain point of view.
But yeah, so you can see that, and Hunter Crosshair starting to question Hunter's leadership. It's starting to happen. Later in the episode, we see it, fully occur. But you can see that Crosshair is kind of the odd man out, in that, he's the one who seems to be the only one willing to go through with the mission to follow orders. And I think he even says again that good soldiers follow orders. I can't remember if he repeats the saying during the scene or not, but yeah, again, during this back and forth, and not executing the mission, all the while they're being spied on and followed. Well, being tracked.
Yeah.
By an IPD, by an Imperial Prodroid. Well, yeah.
The IPD.
Mm-hmm. Our favorite floating piece of metal.
It's a hunk of junk.
It is.
Self-destruct mode, always on.
So, by the way, this is sound effect hour.
Yeah, that's. We're making our own right now.
We're gonna make our own.
We don't have the
effects,
buttons yet,
and that's fine. That's fine. So anyway, so they get caught by the scouts and taken to
Saw.
to Saw, basically.
Yep, and that's when Tech realizes who it is and announces to everybody in the group like exactly who it is. They're dealing with, who he was trained by. They've met these Jedi, like they've worked with them already, so they know that, well, they're at least good people for some portion. And Crosshair is still just, pissy. But yeah, Saw gives them the talk of, listen, yeah, we don't believe in this new empire because we don't believe in him because he did this the wrong way, and so we're still fighting.
Right. And so he says, he says to Hunter, the Clone Wars have ended. You can either die with the past or, adapt and survive. And basically gives them their blasters back, and they walk off into the shrubs, into the bushes.
Yeah.
And disappear for, well, who knows how long. Maybe we'll meet up with them again.
Yep. And then on the way back, they find out that the droid was following them because Hunter destroys it. But the report's already been made. So they go back to Camino. They're still arguing about stuff because, well, it's just not going well. And then as they're on approach to Camino, there's no answer when they're trying to hail to get into the hangar or anything else. Then they get on the ground, they enter the hangar and are surrounded by shock troopers. And Tarkin comes out and accuses them of treason because not only did they not complete the mission that they were given, but they were seen talking to Saw Gerrera, who is an enemy of the state at this point. So, yep, you must have been committing treason if you're talking to Saw.
Right, exactly. And I think, doesn't he also bring up the fact that they didn't, because at some point we learn that Crosshair filed a report after returning back from Kaller, that the Padawan, Caleb Kanan, was not eliminated. And so it's already been documented even before Onderon that they did not carry out their order as required. So that was already strike one, and then strike two was not. Strike two and strike three were the mission to Onderon. So yeah, they're not in the good graces of Admiral Tarkin.
Yeah, so they get basically thrown in the brig. When they get there, they realize Omega's there. Now, Omega was there from an earlier scene because she got caught in 99's barracks while they were on their mission, just checking things out with her droid companion. And it was kind of crazy because she just loved everything in the room, even though it was a disaster. The droid was just like, "Yep, this is officially uninhabitable." Yeah,
and I loved the medical droid because I'm almost certain it's the same medical droid from that again season 6 arc with Tup and Fives, where it's when Fives kind of goes insane. And I'm pretty sure that's the same medical droid. It's the same voice. I know that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's a connection there. If he just happens to be another random.
There's a really long number. I'm not going to read right now, but
no.
It was.
He's E. I thought he was E. Something.
Yeah, but it's a long, like a 17 or 18 digit number. I'm not reading right now.
But another thing about the room, and I don't know if this is a little Easter egg or not, but it does come up later, but it's the first time we see the stuffed animal.
Oh yeah.
Now we don't know whose it is yet, but it almost looks like a stuffed Lothal cat, like an elongated Lothal cat. Now I don't know if that's what it is, but it had the pointy ears, just like a Lothal cat does, which is again a Rebels callback. Well,
it was the first time
first time we would have seen them.
Yeah.
In visual form. Or maybe it's just some other random stuffed animal, but that that comes up later on in the episode. So yeah, so we're in the brig. Omega's there, chilling.
Yeah, and then Hunter was like, "Well, part of the mission is accomplished now because they found Omega, which was the reason why they were going back for her back to Camino anyway." And then we realize that Omega just kind of looks over at Crosshair because Crosshair accuses Hunter of leading them down the wrong path, which, well, I mean, if you're in a holding cell with your squad, something probably went wrong. And it's always on the leader. So
correct.
He's basically says you've made every wrong decision you possibly could have since Kaller. So, and then he sits back down and just like he's angry. So naturally, the child walks over to the angry person.
Hey, you look angry.
You look angry.
How perceptive.
So good. And then you get to hear Omega say, I know what you are going to do, and I want you to know it's not your fault, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's when we realize immediately that there's really something special about Omega, without, even giving too much away. It's just like you have to have some connection to the Force.
Not many beings can sense the future.
Or maybe that's just your one power, is you can see so far into the future, which is also ridiculous.
That would be an interesting genetic modification. I want to find that in my genome,
right,
and just manipulate that.
Just go ahead.
I can learn the next set of lottery numbers. But.
Right, yeah. If I buy this one, do I win or lose?
Right, exactly.
Okay. But definitely some kind of connection to the Force is the theory that I think we're both working on right now, along with probably a majority of the masses.
Yeah.
After episode 1,
but that connection between the two of them, like in that slight moment where she almost connects with him, you can see him like look over and almost kind of like for like the first time someone understands what he's maybe mentally going through, that he doesn't know why he's doing this and he can't control it. And for the first time, she's able to connect with him and say, what's going on is not your fault.
Yeah.
And so you can almost, just for that brief moment, he kind of lets that edge down and then he goes right back to it. But you can, it's just real brief, just that connection between the two, the two of them, was pretty, I don't know if special is the right word, but it was nice to see.
Right. Yeah.
Starting to build
just a quick glimpse.
Yeah. Starting to build those characters and, their connections to one another.
Yep. And then you see a shock trooper comes in and asks for Crosshair, takes him out and takes him away to where he's going to get some work done, unfortunately. And Tarkin's watching Nalase work on it, and he just says, so this clone showed some loyalty to the Empire on this last mission, so obviously something's going correct. And she admits that, yeah, part of his inhibitor chip must be functioning to some capacity, and he just says, can we enhance it?
Can we turn it to 11?
Yeah.
Can we just ramp it up?
Just ramp it up. I need
see
that
what
thing.
happens.
I need that thing going. So that's what she does. And after that, we kind of saw what was going to come out at the end of the episode. But
while this is happening,
yeah, our no cell is strong enough to hold our heroes in Star Wars.
Right.
It's Star Wars.
There at least is a technical a basis for this, in that Camino isn't built to be a prison, and so they're just kind of like throwing up drywall here and there to create, holding cells.
Yeah, here's a ray shield here and a ray shield over there,
Right.
and that's a prison.
It works.
For
normal clones.
For normal clones, and they realize that, well, obviously Wrecker's not normal, so he pounds a wall pretty good, and then gets something loose, and Omega is small enough to get in the wall.
Convenient.
It's amazing, the story writers, that what they plan out in these episodes. So Omega gets out, gets in the ceiling, and then the clones realize that, oh, there's somebody missing out of the cell. So they're doing some scans for her and figuring out, oh yeah, she's still supposed to be in there. And then she falls out of the ceiling and knocks out a couple clones. Gets the ray shield down, and then the other clone is quickly handled by Wrecker, I think. Wrecker or Hunter gets a hold of him.
Yeah, I think so.
Throws him right up against the wall. They're real nice about it.
Well, and one thing, when she's up in the air duct or in the space above the room, they actually call out her number, and I'm trying to remember what it was. It started with an O, but I think it was either -002 or 012. Again, off the top of my head, I can't remember it, but the numbering schemes, like Hunter is 004. So he's 99-004, presuming that the other clone, the Bad Batch characters are like 001, 002, etc. So I wonder, long term, and I'm going to have to look this up after the pod or later tonight, later on in this episode, but it'd be interesting to know if there is a reasoning for the numbering scheme. I mean, usually there are, or there is. So maybe she is, the 12th one of her line, or if she was, if she's like she's the WD-40, right? So on the 40th attempt it worked. So maybe she's the 12th attempt and it worked. But that'll be something interesting to see if there's any exposition on that down the road, or if it's just a random numbering scheme that I'm looking too far into, which is totally possible.
Yeah, you might be. I'm not sure. And even a quick internet search is not allowing me to find that clone number for her. I do remember, obviously, that they did ask on the comms, like, clone number whatever. So that she is at least assigned a clone number, which is, it does prove that she is a clone of somebody. All right, so they get out of the holding cell. They roll out into the hangar, and as they're trying to get their gear and get prepped for, they send tech on the ship to get the ship going. You already had a glimpse of how Omega kind of sees into the future, or at least can feel somebody's feelings on what they want or what they have to do or what they need to do. And then Wrecker is frantically looking for something, and you see Omega kind of glimpse at him, and then glimpse at, we find the stuffed animal again. And it's just kind of crazy that you get those quick moments, and you don't know if she's going to do anything with it or not. But then we get into a just shootout with our buddy Crosshair.
Well, it cuts to the door, the hangar bay door opening. Well, the door to the hangar opening, and there he is, clad in his black shadow armor, Death Trooper armor.
Yeah,
for all intents and purposes, I think, in my opinion, he's the first Death Trooper. Now he's a clone. He's not a recruit per se, but what he's tasked with doing is no short of just being an assassin, an elite assassin group, or trooper. So so they walk in, and the shootout commences, and you can see through. They pop smoke. And then Hunter's got his night vision-y,
Crosshair has it.
Crosshair has it. Yeah, has his infrared heat signature goggles on, or sight on, and he's getting ready to pop. I think he's getting ready to pop Hunter or somebody, and she flips around, and just blasts the gun out of his hand.
Yeah, pretty crazy. What a shot. I did like during that scene, like, he left Echo as bait. Very much, what was I thinking of? Like Metal Gear Solid. Like, it's very much a callback to a bunch of different, movies and video games where somebody was left as bait.
Right.
Like, go ahead and go get him.
Right, yeah.
Please.
Right, exactly. So,
but yeah, that shot was just amazing. And as we find out later, she's never held a blaster before.
First shot,
just
on the mark, dead eye, shooting from the hip. I don't think I saw two hands on that blaster rifle.
You know what my favorite thing about this all is? As soon as Crosshair turned into a stormtrooper and working for the Empire, he can't hit anything.
Oh my god, that's true. That's a good point.
Just as soon as you get those, as soon as you're ranked by the Empire, your shot's done.
They take away your marksman. They take away your marksmanship skill traits. But so Tech's starting to Tech's getting the ship ready, and Hunter, God, Crosshair through his thermal vision sees the engines flare up and realizes, hey, they're trying to escape. Let's try and shut the doors. and he sends one of his troopers over, and he's like pressing the button. It's like beep, beep, and
It's not
it's not
working.
working. And they cut to I think it's Nalase
Yeah.
in the control room, and she's just over there just pressing the button to
Yeah.
cancel it the
It's like
entire time.
it's like a garage door opener when you have the clicker and somebody's on the inside of the door saying, "Nope,
Yep.
nope, we're stopping this the whole time." Really, really good stuff. And then our heroes escape,
Mhm.
and we realize that Wrecker was really looking for what was that name of that thing? Luna? Was it Luna?
Did he give the stuff? Oh, he did give it the stuffed animal a name.
Yeah, Omega, Lula. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Lula. Yeah, you found my Lula.
Mhm.
And yeah, Omega starts laughing. Like, I mean, yeah, it was just another one of those moments where you realize that she knew exactly what he wanted or what he like. So she's definitely got. I mean, I say definitely, but 99%
There's a high
sure,
probability.
high probability that something is force sensitive about her.
Well, and that scene again, I think highlights the fact that you've got this big brooding guy. His character is supposed to be this Hulk smash. I've got no brains. All I want to do is blow stuff up, and he's frantically looking for this stuffed animal that brings him comfort. So it does these small little bits go to length to try and humanize what are otherwise clones, right? And I think that's something that the Star Wars universe has done well, especially with like the Clone Wars, in giving like Rex a personality, Echo a personality, Fives a personality, all the named clones, I guess you want to say, giving them some sort of personality. And we're going to talk about this probably every episode because D. Bradley Baker talks to himself for like 50 minutes in this episode.
So good at talking to himself. And you know what's funny is I was actually concerned because I wasn't 100% sure just listening to it, and I don't remember looking it up for the Bad Batch episodes for Clone Wars, but in my head I'm like, some of these voices are so different. Maybe they got a couple different people to do a couple of the Bad Batch, because they're not pure clones, so they could sound different, and that'd be okay. Nope, still him. Credit rolls, the Bad Batch, D. Bradley Baker, done. And I'm like, okay, cool. So because I mean, guys like Wrecker, like I mean, his voice seems to be very different than the rest of them, but it's still D. Bradley.
Exactly. So. And he was actually doing some on Twitter. He's been dropping some really cool like just short videos of pumping the show and stuff like that, and how excited he is to see different characters, and in them he breaks into, like, he does one in Crosshair's voice, he does one in Rex's voice, and it just goes to show how broad his voice acting talent is. And he brings life to each of these guys. They don't all have the same voice, they don't all have the same personality, and he does a really good job of conveying that in just an audio.
And I just imagine him being in the voice like box, like just like freaking out as Wrecker, trying to talk about stuff, and then like as Hunter or Crosshair just being very stoic and like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or like, I'm like, I mean, yeah, that was no line from the show, but I mean, you get what I mean though, like, because you for some guy like Wrecker, very animated, like,
oh yeah, very boisterous,
over the top,
oh, yeah.
like
huge.
Let's blow stuff up.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
So, yeah, really cool stuff, and obviously it just shows his range. And then I guess, well, we don't close the episode with them, but Nalase and Lama Su obviously know something very special about Omega, as they aided her escape from Camino, and they were very clear in saying that, does anybody else know? Nope. No one knows.
And we've talked since the episode dropped, and I had a very vivid Newt Gunray moment in that discussion back to episode 1 when Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon escape, and I can never remember Newt's second in command, but it's not important, and he goes, you didn't tell him about the missing Jedi, and he goes so far as to say, well, there's no need to tell him anything until we have something to report. And so I don't know if that's just happenstance, but Lama Su's just like, yeah, we don't need to tell anybody yet because there's nothing to tell.
Well, it's either that or the fact that they already know that they need to hide this.
Right, because maybe she is, I don't know, is for a special client, perhaps,
Oh, could
and
be.
someone might be a little upset if they lost a high value asset, you know.
To the Empire.
Right, exactly. I mean, where have we also heard of force sensitive beings as assets? I think didn't Moff Gideon refer to
The asset.
Grogu as the asset?
Oh, yes.
And so yeah, I mean, it gave me that episode 1 vibe just briefly, in that exchange between the two of them.
Yeah, and that I'm going to close out the episode with Omega looking at the front, through the front view of their ship. I don't know. I guess their ship does not have a name yet. Not a pure name.
It doesn't have a name. It has, right. I think it's got a it's the class of ship with some letterings
Right.
after it, right? But no, it's not like the Millennium Falcon or the Ghost or the Phantom, or
Sure.
I don't think it's been called anything yet.
Yeah. But yeah, super excited to see, because I'm sure we'll get a name. I can't imagine them not having a name for their ship, but maybe not.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's looking at the front view, and they jump to hyperspace, and this is clearly the first time that Omega's seen this.
It's the first time she's ever in space.
Yep.
On a spaceship. It's the first time she's ever left Camino.
Yep. And so
Just to see the hyperspace and like the reflection in her eyes and the excitement, the joy that would come with, again, imagine yourself as, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10. It's hard to tell.
One day I'll make it to Galaxy's Edge, and hopefully that's my feeling inside the cockpit for the Millennium Falcon. That'll be my joy.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. One day we'll make it.
I'd like to go into space one day.
That would be
like
cool
real
too.
Space.
Like
I don't
real
think
space.
If Dogecoin goes, to the moon,
Like really does it?
like literally, I might be able to afford to go into
One
space.
trip, one round trip.
I'm not coming back. No,
Oh, yeah.
they're just gonna they're gonna leave me on the moon because I'm not gonna be able to come back.
Can't afford the round trip. Just please drop me.
Just one way, please.
Drop the weight. That way you can slingshot.
Right.
Oh geez, that's good stuff. I mean, for me, 9 out of 10. Very, very little wrong with the episode. There's a couple things where I'm just like, because I'm a 30-plus-year-old breaking down a Star Wars cartoon, I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense, kind of thing. But most of it,
We should talk about
Really
that
well
in a
done.
second because I'm curious what those are.
yeah. I mean, there's one big one. And it's close to the end, so we'll get there. What would you give it?
I would say, solid 9 out of 10. I mean, I didn't find. Now, unfortunately, I had to watch this at work, and so I hope nobody that employs me listens to this. But it took me the better part of 3 hours to watch an hour and 10 minutes. But at no point was I looking at my watch going, how long? Where am I at? How long do I have left?
Yeah, pacing was good.
The pacing was really good. I felt in it the whole time. There was enough peril and tension. Again, even understanding that this is going to be a long season and there are certain things that have to happen. But yes, I mean, comparing it to the Siege of Mandalore arc in season 7, I would say it was right up there with the action and everything, kind of everything, the hype. Let's just say I think it lived up to the hype.
I think so too.
So
I agree.
yeah, cut and dry. Excellent episode.
Yeah. Yep. Excellent. Yep. Nothing really else to say.
No.
Excellent.
So
But,
that's our recap. So,
yeah, that's a recap. We'll dive into a couple things that we're like, well, this could have been improved on real quick, and then we'll move on to some theories for the overarching season.
Yeah. So what? Yeah. So I'm curious. What?
So the first thing I noticed, they're escaping from a planet, right?
Yes.
Controlled by the Empire at this point.
Yes.
50, at least 50-50, right?
Sure.
Controlled. There was no ships that got launched to stop them once they were in the air.
Does Camino have ships?
The Empire had to get there somehow.
Yeah. Tarkin got there on one ship with 4 shock troopers.
You tell me that Camino doesn't have any ships handy? None?
Where are they traveling to?
They could leave? I don't know.
Who's leaving?
Listen. It's good cover. Good cover up. That's a great point.
I'm going to play the counterpoint here.
Maybe they have no ships. Not one.
Well,
not
sorry,
one fighter.
Not
No,
fighter ships.
Actually, well, they had some kind of ships because they're on their patrol back. They had ships escorting them into the hangar.
Okay. Yep. So they had two.
Boom.
They had
There are two
ships.
ships.
They had two
They
ships.
could have weapons on them. I assume they do.
Presumably, you would think to flank a ship, an incoming ship, yeah, you would have to have the means to shoot it out of the sky or out of the atmosphere.
So at least two ships able to hit the sky after them, but they sent nothing.
So the question is, though, okay, counterpoint.
Yes.
So Tarkin has sent his elite squad, his elite trooper, and his Coruscant guard to, because I think it was he was sent with, no, he wasn't sent with shock troopers. He was sent with Crosshair was sent with a couple other troopers. Anyways, if Tarkin sent him with the assumption that his super soldier could easily dispatch four clones and a child, then there's no reason to follow up on it.
Oh, so you're saying that Tarkin underestimated somebody
Again.
again?
It's the first of many situations,
including
like
his massive underestimation of the rebel
Evacuate
forces.
in our moment of triumph.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I believe you underestimate their chances.
I actually. Yep,
So
I give it to you.
because he's clearly not in the control room. He may have left at this point, because if he's not with Nala Se and Lama Su,
Well, he did. See,
where is he?
I mean, Crosshair just got reprogrammed. He would have seen him and given him the order. It's not like he's just like,
Yeah, but
hey,
we don't-
you take care of this. I'm out.
But we don't know. You presume it's like right away, but do you think they just had that armor laying around?
Which armor?
The black armor that they put him in.
Oh yeah,
They just had it laying around.
yeah.
Look, you look like a size,
Well,
48
they
tall.
Had they had the black armor.
I got this laying around.
The Clone Force 99 got their armor from somewhere. I'm sure they have different colored armor.
Who wears black armor?
I don't know. Somebody might.
Nobody.
Somebody might.
Not yet, anyways.
Well,
I don't know. That's my counterpoint to that, is that either, because if he's not with the Prime Minister Nala Se, and he's not observing that battle on the hangar deck, so
how could he give the order?
Or he gave it ahead of time, and maybe if he's still on planet, he's inspecting other clones, maybe.
Or maybe Nala Se locked down the other hangars.
Also possible.
Yeah.
Because she pressed the button a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to. I mean, you only have to really cancel it a couple times. You don't have to just keep pressing the button.
Yeah.
So that would be my counter argument to that, right?
That's fair.
That's how I would justify it in
There's
my
good-
headspace.
Yeah. Like I said, like 12-year-olds aren't arguing about this. They're
Right.
like, oh, that's a great episode.
Well, exactly. Well, 12-year-olds. Yeah, 12-year-olds definitely aren't analyzing their cartoons. I know I didn't analyze my cartoons as a 12-year-old.
We also didn't have internet as 12-year-olds.
That is also
Also pretty true.
technically it existed.
Yeah. There was.
I mean, you weren't watching videos at that time. But,
and if you were, they were buffering
yeah.
for the first 45 minutes of a 15-minute video.
Exactly, and then naturally somebody picks with the phone, and there goes your feed.
Yeah.
And you're like, kids. There was a thing at a time. Ask your parents about dial-up internet. It was the greatest thing ever.
It was at the time. At the time, it was. No, and I think so. That's one thing, and I guess the other stuff is just we're back to the whole Crosshair thing. Like he was spot on every target that he had to hit until he had to hit people that mattered. And yes, I mean it would be, what, like for instance, even with Echo, yeah, leave him for bait for a second, but like if no one's going because they know you're using him as bait, finish him.
Well, I think he really wanted Hunter. I think that's what he was. Now I don't know why. You're right. I don't know why he wouldn't, other than the fact that we know they have to
have
make it off planet.
Yeah.
And we already have seen in the trailer that at some point Echo puts his hand into the computer to help jump him to hyperspace. That yeah. That part you're like,
there's stuff
that's true.
It's just
That
like,
is true. We're getting really.
I know.
That's
what I'm saying.
That's how good the episode was.
That episode's so
That's
good.
the thing that upsets
and,
you.
and it might not even be 9 out of 10. It might be more like a 9.8 for me. I mean, it was a really good episode.
I'd be curious to see what the IMDb. I'm curious to see what the IMDb rating is on it.
Pull it up real fast.
Because again, as far as a Star Wars cartoon goes, I felt like it was
So it got a 9 out of 10 on IMDb,
yeah, okay.
which is what we gave it.
Right.
Which, yeah. So
And so again, I think it's right up there with some of the episodes from the Siege of Mandalore arc in season 7 of the Clone Wars, and for anybody who's coming new to the show, I mean, it's one heck of an introduction into who they are as a squad and as individual characters.
yeah, I mean, somebody asked me the other day, like, what do I need to watch in preparation for the Bad Batch? And I just said, you can watch Clone Wars season 7, 1 through 4. Like, that's their arc in that season. And I'm like, but you don't have to, because you'll learn about them right now. You'll learn the same stuff you learned. You just get to see how they found one of their members.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did tell them, though, I'm like, you really should watch 9 through 12.
Oh yeah,
because
without question,
it leads you right into your story that you're in. Because the last episode you go through Order 66. This first episode of the Bad Batch, you land in Order 66 immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like it cut right to it and started going. And yeah, can't go wrong with that.
Right, and it was interesting, the consistency in both episode 12 of season 7 and how Ahsoka reacts when she senses the Emperor's message, how Yoda reacts on Kashyyyk when he senses the message, how Yara Tapal, they all react the same way. They all have this intense pain, and the same way that Deepa reacted. Like, it's all consistent in the way that every single Jedi could sense the imminent doom that was about to befall them, and
because they sensed the pain from Anakin and what happened on Coruscant,
which tells you how connected he is to just the overall force.
Should have made him a master. That's the Jedi's downfall.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
All right, so I guess we can run right into some theories for the rest of the season and where we think our heroes will end up by the end of it, and maybe what we're going to learn about Omega or any of the other Bad Batch.
There's so many things to ponder. Do you want to lead off with one, or
yeah? So I'll start with our aggressive clone currently. So I'll start with Crosshair.
Okay.
I think by the end of this season that they capture him and flip him. I think we get our full Bad Batch again.
You think they're going to turn him back?
I think they're gonna because Tech knows that there's stuff, and I think they're gonna learn from Omega, because I think Omega knows also. So I think that, and if not, I think they're gonna try, because they're gonna realize that, like, he's one of us. I'm not, like, I think they all have that mentality, like, we're not leaving somebody behind.
That's very true.
So if they believe that there's a chance to get their friend back, they're going to try to do it.
Yeah, I don't even think they see him as a friend. They see him as a brother, I think, at this point.
Right.
Brother in arms, and that soldier mentality. And that's a very interesting theory.
Yeah. Could happen, could not. But
certainly. Well, so I would be interested if they did that. I would be interested to see if like Lamassu and Nalase are in on it. Because presumably they would have to go back to Camino to be able to readjust his chip, unless they find that technology elsewhere.
Right, and it is elsewhere, but mostly, I mean, for instance, Ahsoka had it on their Star Cruiser for Rex.
That's right. They had
season. So they what they need is a droid able to
remove
it or disable it.
Right. Because you're right. Because in the med bay with Rex, they removed his chip. I don't know if they have the means to turn it down, like turn it or
disable it,
or if, to your point, if they're going to just remove it entirely. That's probably the easiest path.
Right.
Is to have it removed entirely. That would be very fitting.
I think it'd be fun too
for a Star Wars arc.
Yeah.
The rescuing of a presumed fallen person,
right.
I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my crosshair theory for this show. I mean, that's it for now
Interesting.
until we learn more. So we'll have to see what the next couple episodes bring and see how because he's obviously going to be going after them.
Yeah, he's going to be hunting them.
So at some point, I feel like they're going to lay a trap for him.
Hmm.
But we'll see.
That's interesting. I like that theory. I hope, because I personally, I do like Crosshair as a character. His coarseness, his kind of cynicism, like his personality is a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I kind of relate to him, being slightly cynical myself, but that's a good theory. I with 16 episodes, they definitely have plenty of arc to do that if they want to, and not to have it feel rushed. So I wouldn't mind that.
Yep, be interesting. I just feel like in the season, it's either something similar to that, or, most of the Clone Wars and stuff like that, they didn't carry on that overarching villain more than a couple seasons. Mm-hmm. So like I have a feeling if they don't get him turned, it's going to be the end for him at some point during this first season. That way they can move on to a bigger threat.
Well, see, I would be kind of like we talked about in the first episode, as far as some of the things we wanted to see, and one of them being, the bad Crosshair theory. But one of the things I mentioned was maybe he sacrifices himself. And so maybe he doesn't necessarily turn, but when, he has this moment where he's meant to carry out this order, and he decides I'm not going to do that. Like he has this moment,
that epiphany.
Yeah.
Like,
that like something that breaks him.
Yeah.
Or maybe like you were saying, maybe Omega, if she does turn out to be force sensitive, maybe she can communicate to him, maybe something Jedi, magic hand waving thing, but yeah, that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah,
I'm very interested to see where Crosshair goes in this season. All right, I'll go next with my theory. So kind of on topic with force sensitivity, we've already discussed at length that we both feel highly confident that Omega is force sensitive. Now, it's remains to be seen if she's the only one. My theory is that Hunter has some level of force sensitivity, and the reason I think that is for a couple reasons. One is his primary alteration, I guess, is a heightened sense of awareness, and what is next to combat, what is the number one skill of a Jedi? It's his or her senses, perception, awareness. And the way that, and maybe it was just happenstance that he glanced up at her during the roll call and the Grand Assembly, but I don't know. Part of me thinks that there was some sort of connection, some force connection, some sensing. Now, why he hasn't sensed it before. Again, maybe his level of force sensitivity is far less than hers. But his superior hand-to-hand combat, like I said, his awareness, and almost the way that even after we meet Omega, the way he almost connects with her immediately, it's very similar. Well, it's not similar. It's almost kind of like how Qui-Gon reacted to Anakin.
Yeah, something special about that boy.
He wasn't quite sure what it was, but he sensed it, and I almost feel like Hunter senses that about Omega, even if it's just, just the heightened awareness, right? He went back for her. He says because she's one of them, which she is, but I suspect that there might be more to it than that.
Well, yeah, and even when he was boarding the ship with Crosshair watching him, he was just like, "There's just something I can't figure out about that girl," and so it's just he knows it was something,
right? And it's like what I was saying earlier about the numbers. I would be really shocked that if she is force sensitive, that she's the first, like she's the only one, because I would assume that there would be some practice attempts. Not to say that they weren't all successful. Or, they were all failures. So it's very possible that maybe they tweaked something with Hunter, saw some success, and were like, "Hey, let's see if we can amplify this." So I'm not saying he's a Jedi. I'm not saying he can do Force mind tricks or anything like that. But I think almost in the Star Wars universe, I think everyone has some level of Force sensitivity. Some, most it's just turned down to a level 1. So I think he's got a slightly heightened sense like Force sensitivity sense. That's so we'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how. I hope. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed The Mandalorian, but I hope it does not turn into a, hey, we've got a small thing, a small package, and Hunter effectively becomes sort of the parental role. I hope they're able to integrate her into a way, which I think from the trailer we see that will happen.
Yeah, she's going to be a little more useful than Grogu
right.
in most battles.
Even though Grogu did summon Luke Skywalker, so I mean, pretty useful.
He was all right.
So what? But my other theory, kind of off that, is kind of like in line with your Crosshair theory. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Hunter maybe give himself up to protect her, whether it's this season or maybe in subsequent seasons. I think for him that might be his ultimate character arc. I mean, we kind of already see that attachment that they have. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, will be good. Let's see here. I think for the rest of the Bad Batch, for me, I think they're just going. I mean, if we're getting multiple seasons, we're gonna need the Bad Batch. So I don't foresee us. I don't. Hunter could very well sacrifice himself at some point. I don't think it's gonna be season 1.
No.
I don't think we're gonna lose any of the main characters in season 1. I think it's just too early. If anything, we build more into the team and we create new connections, which would be interesting in the time where the Empire is just getting started. So there's still a lot of people that don't believe in it, and the rebellion's on the rise already, as we already saw in episode 1. So it'd be interesting to see them link up with some other rebels that we know from our previous Star Wars experience, and I hope we get to see some of that.
Do you have anyone in mind?
No, not yet.
Okay.
No one specific. Like I just think. I mean, just like
are we talking like Hera?
Like I mean, yeah. If we get to see some rebels at some point, that'd be really cool. But I just don't know if it's going to be during the right time period because it just happened. So that's like rebels. Like so, Caleb's still obviously a kid. So
we're not going to see Kanan.
Yeah, we're not going to see Kanan. But do we see Hera, like a young Hera? I don't know. Do we get to see her planet maybe where they go, and then maybe she's a kid? And their planet's still not in under the Empire rule or something like that. Like a lot of those things are possible because it would be a kid Hera at that point.
Or do we get to meet Zeb, because wasn't his
planet was wiped out?
The Lasats were wiped out by the Empire. So
yeah, so that could be a spot where they end up at some point. So,
interesting.
Like there's all kinds of different planets that they could explore that fit the time period for the Rebel Alliance kind of forming / other shows that we've already seen from Dave Filoni, and yeah, it'd be cool to see some younger versions of some of those rebels, and I think that's how we're gonna end up finding Fennec Shand at some point. I mean, we're gonna see a young version of her on a planet that we don't know about yet, but yeah,
probably gonna be one of those outer rim planets, because I don't suspect they're going to be going in inner rim anytime soon.
Probably not. Probably not.
With them being hunted and all. I'll be curious. We talked about it last episode about them running into Rex and, what assistance he will offer them. I mean, again, it's interesting because presumably, again, Ahsoka should be relatively close. I mean, they crashed on the same moon. Now, Rex had the Y-wing, but he would have had to have taken her somewhere. I don't think he left her behind. And so it'll be curious to see what kind of assistance Rex offers. If he's there kind of maybe for half the season, kind of a long haul, or if he just comes and goes and is fleeting. I suspect that there's going to be a decent level of involvement from him, but you know,
It would be cool to see Rex be there for the long haul, just because he's fan favorite, and I mean, any kid watching the show knows that Rex is a good guy. So like, anytime you see him, good things will happen.
right?
So,
Exactly.
for all those older fans, the only problem with that is we know nothing bad happens to Rex. So
Right, because he makes it all the way to Endor, apparently.
yeah,
So that's been canonized, I guess, to some extent. So that's. I mean, I don't know if I have any other big overarching theories at this time. I'm sure more will develop as as we watch more episodes.
I'm just really curious to see the timeline on how long they go for into this space between episode 3 and 4 for the main movie line, and even between now and when Rebels were to start. I'm just kind of curious to see when that changes and when that
which is 13.
when that time.
No, that's 14 years.
Yeah,
because we're 19 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see how fast it takes the Empire to set up shop. I mean, you're kind of seeing it already, but as you said, there's still a lot of resistance, in the immediacy. So watching them, and I think we kind of see some of that in the trailer, but how quickly the Empire is able to effectively impose their will on the galaxy and get everybody under control. Because, I mean, they set it up pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, it goes, I mean, even on Camino, really quick.
Super fast. Like, they had this plan in place, like, for, the whole, hey, we're going to turn this into the Empire thing. This had been going on for obviously a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, they already had, like, new weapons in their weapon caches on Camino. Like, Wrecker brought out a huge box. He's like, I'm going to like this Empire thing. Like, lots of explosives. Like, I cried. Or Crosshair says he cried. And then he's like, so did you.
Right.
So, like, yeah, so obviously, I mean, they're moving at light speed, if you'll have it that way.
Oh, yes.
Yes, did you get that?
Well done.
Yes.
Yes, well done.
I nailed it.
That was well done.
But yeah, I think, without any other theories, I mean, I don't want to go too much deeper into anything else today, unless you have something.
No, I mean, as far as the Bad Batch goes, I think that pretty much wraps it. This is, well, I guess this is kind of our May the 4th episode, being that it is. So I didn't know if you had any toy updates that you wanted to share.
Nothing crazy. I mean, they announced 2 Bad Batch characters that are coming up, but still no Echo. And every time I think about it more, I'm dreading the fact that Echo might be like San Diego exclusive or something like that they're going to tack on later this year. And if that's the case, he's the only one we don't have yet. Omega got announced. She's due out spring next year. So, and I think part of that was because they couldn't push production on her because
they didn't want to spoil it.
They're keeping it under wraps. So,
do those figures come with like accessories, like weapons or anything ever, or are they just the figures?
Yeah, no, they all come with something. I mean, they all come with some accessory.
Did she have an accessory with?
I did not
with her reveal.
See that.
Be curious if it was like the bow, or not a bowcaster, but the light bow or something like that.
Yeah, the 2 Walmart exclusives that went up were a shock trooper, Coruscant guard trooper, like a shock trooper, and then another admiral that we have not met yet but he was a Bad Batch character, and his name escapes me right now. And then for Father's Day coming up at Target, they've got the Clone Wars packaging for like Anakin, Obi-Wan, I think it's Obi-Wan, but there's 4
animated.
Yeah, the animated one.
Nice.
So, and Echo is in that group of figures, but there's 4 figures going out for them. They've got cool different packaging. just what I asked for, different packaging again.
How are you going to color code the
Yeah,
Jedi Temple after that?
I don't know how it's gonna go after that. But like, because they look like carded figures on a clone helmet, like the old school Clone Wars action figures came in, like the three and three quarter figures came in.
Okay.
So it's almost like a clone helmet as their back. And I'm like, yeah, it looks cool. What am I gonna put on my shelf that makes sense? And the answer is, I don't know. So we'll figure that out when I get there.
You have to get that new house sooner than you thought.
Oh yeah, right. Oh.
Or just build on a new addition. You just build
oh,
off,
just build it out straight out.
Yeah, exactly. Just build it out under the deck. I mean, it's already plywood over. You've got room to do it. Just blow out the window. Make it a pass through.
Yeah, just add. Just tear down this wall and just take it out, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you talk about the Echo figure maybe being a Comic-Con exclusive, but you have tickets for Comic-Con.
Yeah, but this year they moved it back to Thanksgiving weekend.
So
I work retail, dude.
You're sick.
I'm sick.
Just plan out 6 months ahead.
Yeah,
just
right.
be like, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, you have a friend going.
I do have a
be
friend
happy
going.
to go in your stead.
That's so nice. I don't think that we can transfer like that.
No.
Brandon is going.
Brandon's going.
Brandon is going though.
But yeah, I would offer to go in your stead.
Yeah, I can't transfer tickets like that.
But that's fine. I could be you.
You could be me. I'll give you my ID number and everything.
There you go.
Yeah.
Deal. And I'll also get the Comic-Con exclusive Lego, whatever that is, because that's sure to be worth $300 or $400.
Yeah.
I think the Sith Trooper bust from 2019 is, last I saw, I think it was $500 sold on eBay.
And what retail for $75?
$40.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those $40 sets.
Yeah, naturally, but you can only get it there. So
correct.
Yeah, that'll happen.
And it's not even I mean,
it's just a bust.
The packaging's cool, but it's red brick on red brick on red brick. It's
just like the Boba Fett bust. Is that what it is, or is it the half body?
It's like the Darth Vader one. Shoulders. It was like the Darth Vader one from Celebration.
Yeah, which I should have got that one,
but or not 2020, Celebration 2019.
I should have got that.
Yeah, because that one again, $40 retail. It's pretty much leveled out at around $150 to $160, okay. But it's still four times in less than 2 years.
Yeah, so. That signed Tantive over there looks really good, but I don't. Yeah,
and that just retired. That one retired about 2 months ago, I think.
Yeah,
and so the price on the most sets are going for about $300, so about $100 over retail right now. Immediately. Now, again, none of those are signed by the creators or by the designers, by the artists. So I would be willing to bet that's probably at least a $400 set, if not more.
Well, it's not moving, so
right.
That is what it is.
Yeah, but I have one of those in my basement as well.
Yeah,
along with a normal one.
Yeah,
must buy two. As with any collectible, you buy two at least.
That's
one to either build, in my case with Lego, or for you, I guess, just put behind the one that is being shown on the shelf, and then the other to sell.
Yeah, I keep toying with the idea that I'm just gonna go on an opening spree one day.
Oh, if you do, we have to film it for the pod.
And yeah,
we would. Yes. Touch base with us on the socials. Let us know if you want us to live stream box open half of the Jedi Temple.
It would save a lot of space.
I'm voting. I'm already voting yes for this.
I mean, it would save a lot of space. That's the biggest thing. If you keep everything in packages, it takes up way more space.
Mm-hmm. Think of the dioramas you could build.
The dioramas, or just if I had a shelf of just all the clones and all the Empire and all, they could all fit there, because I could get little tiered shelving, step ups and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes, the Emperor.
The throne room Palpatine with interchangeable faces
and lightning hands. Yeah, there's some cool accessories in some of those.
I like the droids as well.
Yep, there's some good ones in there. But yeah, really good stuff. All right, well, I guess that's going to bring us down to the end of our episode today, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Unless you got more toys that you want to talk about.
I got no more toys. I mean, as far as Lego, their May the 4th was kind of meh. They did release an R2D2 Master Builder series, so that's not quite UCS, but it's meant for adult builders. That it looks cool, but not really for me. I don't have any space for it. But aside from that, there weren't any big Lego releases.
Yeah, on the pop side of things, they did announce the entire Bad Batch basically. So
Who's the chase?
you can find. I don't actually no chases.
Oh,
There's actually not a lot of Star Wars chases to be like actually surprised by.
except Ghost Obi-Wan from Celebration this year. Did you?
That wasn't a chase though. That was just that was the limited edition pop from Celebration.
Well, it was the lottery. The lottery.
Right,
pop.
that wasn't a chase though. The chase is like a variant, like so like the regular Hades.
Oh, I see.
So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's not a. He's buried, but like Hercules here, like so there's a chase Hercules that glows in the dark. The other one does not.
Got it. Okay.
So it just the chase is just a variant. It's usually the same exact mold, just different color, or it has sometimes there is a different mold to it, but it just depends on the figure and what they're doing special with it.
Did you shell out any money for the Ghost Obi-Wan from Celebration this year?
No, no.
$250 is a bit much for you.
Yeah, just a little bit. But no, I think the only chases I can think of on the Star Wars pops that I can like just think of off the top of my head. There's the speeder bike of I think it was Luke is the non-chase version and Leia is the chase version of the pop.
Oh, cool.
And or it's vice versa, one or the other. And then Porg had an open mouth version that was the chase versus the closed mouth, which is normal. I can't think of any other chases off the top of my head. I'm sure somebody out there will be like, "I've got this chase."
That's not a very creative chase. Doing squawking pork versus
no, literally like that's
squawking
sometimes those are the chases variants. So like sometimes they're super simple variants. Like I think that this Hades, for instance, from Hercules, the blue one is its regular one, and then the red one is when he gets angry. So that makes sense as a chase, like,
right?
But yeah, some of them I'm like, that was, yeah, it was whatever. Like the Black Panther chase, he's masked versus.
Oh yeah,
he would be unmasked as not chase.
Well, he's got the purple armor versus the.
Oh well, that's just the glow in the dark one.
Oh, I see. One. Oh, I see. Like, yep, I see.
Yeah, he would be unmasked, which obviously the masked version of Black Panther is more desirable. I would think. I don't know, but I would think it's more desirable. But they made that one the chase one, which is 1 in every 6 pops as a chase in most pops. They used to make them more rare, like 1 in 36, but they're down to 1 in 6 now.
Because people complained enough, and they're like, "I want one."
Well, yeah, because people will pay money for.
Pops. Oh, sure, for sure.
Yep. Right. That's good stuff, though. But yeah, so that brings us to the end of the episode, and I guess we will see everybody next time.
May the Force be with you.